So the technology in our industry has just been overwhelming. I mean, these young engineers and scientists who invent all that stuff, my hat's off to them.
Right. So how do you feel about the current state of technology that wasn't even around back during, when you were starting out? And thanks to the internet, it's like the traditional news and newspapers kind of much been on the decline since the rise of like CNN and other 24-hour news sites. So how do you feel about the rise of technology overtaking the traditional broadcast models?
I think it was inevitable. I don't think there's anything at all wrong with it. I think local stations have to deal with it and find their niche, because, as you say, the pie is being sliced in many, many more pieces. But it was inevitable. There's no need to lament the changes because more people have access to more news than they ever did before. So I think it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is a challenge to networks and local stations to keep up with it and find a niche.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that statement. And what advice do you have for any young aspiring broadcasters that want to get into the business of news and just broadcasting in general?
Well, for news, you're going to have to get an education. You have to get an education. You need to learn how to pronounce words, how to spell. I mean, all this sounds mundane, but you need to know some history, you need to know good grammar, and you need to prepare yourself to be on the network, even though you might wind up as a local newscaster for all of your life. You need to prepare yourself to be on the network, and that preparation means a lot of things. It means that you have to be a good reporter before you can be a decent anchor. You've got to be a good reporter, and when you are an anchor, you've still got to be a good reporter. You still have to be able to go out and do a decent news story that's accurate and fair and timely. Mm-hmm. My suggestion would be to go to a good journalism school and not try to cut any corners. Just study, learn to spell, good grammar, learn to write. Writing is one of the most important things. So that would be my advice. Now, that sounds a little old salt, I guess, to young people, but a lot of youngsters think that they can skip over a lot of that stuff and just become TV stars, and I guess some of them can, but for most of them, it's going to take some work. One other thing. You have to be able to put yourself in different conditions, 105 degrees in the summer, ice storms in the winter, overseas trips, working in countries where you don't speak the language, seeing horrible things without getting sick. It's not like an office job. So my advice for young people would be to consider the things that I've mentioned and think about them. And if you can do that, you'll be successful. I don't ever discourage young people, because I feel like if I could make my way into this industry, they can too, and they certainly can. Mm-hmm. They just need to pay attention.
Right. So heed the words of Mr. Gaddy. He knows this stuff. And I also want to say, be able to take constructive criticism, because you will get a lot of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, have some thick skin, because some of these suits, they would cut straight to the chase and tell you what they feel without adding that little sugar on top to try to make it go down a little bit easier.
That's right.
Because I'm sure you probably had your fair share of that too, Mr. Gaddy. Like sitting in the boardroom, got the old man in the suit, have his little pipe cigar, like, Mr. Gaddy, I need you to redo this copy before the 6 o'clock newscast. Why? Because we feel that it's not right for the newscast right now, and can you redo it? And this was back in the days where you had a typewriter, no computer. You had to actually roll the paper up, type it, and you actually had to type it with one finger because you didn't want to mess up that piece of paper.
That's right.
Do you have any people you'd like to thank before we conclude?
Well, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you and your station for inviting me to be here. I certainly would, and I'd like to thank everybody who is listening to your program at this time, and thank them for their interest.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that I had a real good career. The management of my company was squared away, Jim Goodman and his lieutenants, and I just had an opportunity to grow into this market, and I love this area, love Raleigh, and so I thank everybody who helped me do what we did.
Right. And I would like to especially thank Tom Suter and Clarence Williams at WRAL for helping me make this interview possible. Ladies and gentlemen, Time Machine exclusive, former anchorman of WRAL TV5, Mr. Charlie Gaddy. Mr. Gaddy, thank you for doing this interview, and hang on the line.
Jarrell, it was my pleasure. Thank you, and good luck to you, young man.
All right.